All right, so welcome to week 3 of our Go Healthy Weight Management program. At the bottom, you can see the third tracker is due today. So if you can make sure you get that in today for your chance to win that prize at the end. Today, we're going to talk about last week's assignment, part 1 and 2. We'll discuss the fifth Go Healthy fundamental. We will review the record-keeping tools, discuss the week's assignment, and introduce next week's topic. Okay, so last week we talked about the fourth Go Healthy fundamental, which was portion control using 2 strategies. The first strategy was using the My Plate tips and control portions for proteins, grains, and dairy. So with protein foods, the goal is to vary your protein routine. For grains, it's to make half your grains whole grains. For dairy, it's to move to low-fat or fat-free dairy milk or yogurt. And if you are doing alternatives, dairy alternatives, then you want to focus on unsweetened versions. All right, so the second strategy was using meal replacements. So that included frozen entrees, protein shakes, and nutrition bars. The goal is to aim for 1 to 2 a day. And I want to go back. I know this is recorded, so if you're watching, I want you to think about what swaps you did to make for the protein, grains, and dairy food groups. And if you were not able to make those swaps, think of what swaps you can make this week. All right, going to the meal replacement. What meal replacements did you use, if any? Think about what meal replacements you used. Or if you haven't used any this week, what can you use this week? So the topic today we're going to focus on is physical activity. It is our last Go Healthy fundamental. And the questions we will answer include what is physical activity and what counts as physical activity, how much physical activity you should get, the health benefits of physical activity, and how to increase your physical activity. So what is physical activity? Physical activity is defined as any voluntary bodily movement produced by your muscles that require energy. So what counts as physical activity? There are 4 categories. They include common chores, aerobic or cardio, muscle strengthening, and balance and coordination. So some examples of common chores includes working in your garden, mowing the lawn, sweeping and vacuuming inside your home. Aerobic or cardio includes walking or running, riding a bike, playing sports, swimming. Muscle strengthening, it includes lifting weights or using your body weight or using weight machines. Balance and coordination, this includes exercises like yoga and Tai Chi. So how much physical activity do you need to get in? The goal is to aim for 30 to 60 minutes a day. And it could be a mixture of all 4 categories. So we talked about common chores, we talked about aerobic or cardio, we talked about balance and coordination, and we talked about muscle strengthening. So it can be a mix of those categories. The goal is to really just make sure you're aiming for 30 to 60 minutes a day. For substantial health benefits, you want to perform at least 150 minutes a week of aerobic or cardio exercise and at least 2 days a week of muscle strengthening exercises. So let's talk about the health benefits associated with regular physical activity. It includes lower risk of all-cause mortality, lower risk of cardiovascular disease mortality, lower risk of cardiovascular disease, including heart disease and stroke, a lower risk of hypertension, lower risk of type 2 diabetes, lower risk of adverse blood lipid profile, lower risk of various cancers, improved cognition, reduce the risk of dementia, improved quality of life, reduced anxiety, reduced risk of depression, improved sleep, slowed or reduced weight gain, weight loss, particularly when combined with reduced calorie intake, prevention of weight regain following initial weight loss, improved bone health, improved physical function, lower risk of falls, lower risk of fall-related injuries, especially with older adults. So as you can see, that is a long list of benefits of regular physical activity. So just to show that why physical activity is one of those Go Healthy fundamentals. It is very important and can definitely help reduce the risk of diseases and definitely have some other great benefits, with your mental health, your physical health. All right, so how do we increase physical activity? So the first step is to plan ahead. You want to make sure that you are planning ahead. Think about what kind of activity you want to do. Some people it's swimming, some people it's walking, some people it's running. Some people enjoy, going to the gym and maybe using the cardio equipment. Some people like working out in their yard or doing stuff at home. Some people enjoy yoga. So it's all about planning ahead and first figuring out what you enjoy and what you can stick with. I know sometimes it's simply just starting off walking. That's something that we all do anyway is go walking. So I know that, maybe seeing that 30 to 60 minutes might be intimidating at first if you are getting started and you haven't been active in a while. If you're just starting out again, begin with 5 to 10 minutes daily. 5 to 10 minutes can still make a difference. It is not 0 minutes where you might have started off. So even starting at 5 to 10 and then increasing that gradually. So even if the next week, let's say this week you started off with the 5 minutes, and let's say next week you increase 2 minutes, so you start doing 7 minutes. You can gradually increase it like that. It's all about what works best for you. And the goal is to make physical activity part of your routine. So there are things that are already ingrained in our routine and we can't do them. We can't go without doing them during the week. So for example, brushing your teeth, that's something that is embedded in our routine. We don't go a day without brushing our teeth. Taking a shower, driving to work, going to work, um, grabbing things to eat. So those are activities that are part of our routine, and the goal is to make physical activity a part of that routine as well. Now, in addition to maybe starting off 5 to 10 minutes, if you need to split that 30 to 60 minutes up, if you're starting at 30 minutes a day, you can always split that time up. Maybe do 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening, or you can do 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes afternoon, 10 minutes in the evening. It's all about finding out what works best for you and your schedule and something that you will be able to maintain. If you look at your program booklet, there are some physical activity ideas for at home, work, and play. There are some really great ideas if you're just getting started out. Next, build a plan with a professional guidance. So if you belong to a gym, Many gyms have personal trainers, so maybe you can get a personal trainers just to get you started off, and then just using the guidance and everything they taught you, you can hopefully work on doing it on your own. I know there are quite a bit of gyms that will do a free instruction with the weight equipment at the gym, and that's something else that you can focus on as well. Lastly, overcome physical activity barriers. So we do have physical activity barriers. The thing is, you want to be aware of what your physical activity barrier is and how to overcome that physical activity barrier. So I'll be sending out, when I send out the email with the recording, I will be sending out a document that talks about um, those physical activity barriers, and it goes over the common activity barriers because we all have them at different times. So I know a big one that people always say is a barrier is lack of time. Our schedules are so busy and we just can't find time to be active. So that's a big barrier. Lack of energy. If you are working all day and then maybe you are a parent or a caregiver and you do that straight from work, and by the time you do those two things, you don't have energy left to be active. Lack of motivation. Maybe you're just not motivated right now to be active, and that could be a big barrier. Lack of knowledge and skill on how to exercise properly. That's another big barrier. Maybe the high cost, lack of facilities, fear of injury, fear of failure and setbacks from past experience, maybe a lack of self-confidence. Weather conditions, I know especially during the summer, a lot of people mention that, hey, I couldn't really walk outside because it was just so hot. Obligations of family responsibilities. So in this document that I'm going to send you all, it will talk about each barrier I mentioned and how to overcome those barriers. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more before we end today on how to use that information. Okay, so our record keeping tools, we have our two optional ones, and that is the plan page and the fundamentals record. Again, it's optional. You are not required to complete it. It's just a way for you to track everything that will be going on throughout the program. What is required is your Go Healthy tracker. So if you have not turned that one in, please make sure you turn that in today. And the next tracker will be due next week. So far we have included everything on there except for exercise. So this week you're gonna add exercise into that. All right, so this week's assignment is to continue to work on those Go Healthy fundamentals. So continue using your guide to smart food choices, continue working on your fruits and vegetable servings, continue to drink at least 64 ounces of water a day, practice portion control using the My Plate food guide, and then meal replacements is an option. And then this week we've added physical activity. So we're going to try to aim for that 30 to 60 minutes a day. And remember what I said, if you have to start off small, that's fine. If you have to break up that time, that's fine as well. If you do have barriers right now, as I mentioned, I will send out that document to you all with those different barriers and how to overcome them. So if you can at least identify one way to work on overcoming them, that would be great. Think about one way you can overcome that barrier. And if you have to start small, that's perfectly fine. Starting small is still a big action step. All right, so next week's topic, we're going to be talking about maximizing success, applying all fundamentals every day. So that is all that I have for you all today. Please don't hesitate. If you have any questions after watching this, please make sure you reach out to me. I will be sending out the recording before the end of the week. And then next week, I'll be sending out your tracker to complete. In addition to that recording I send out at the end of the week, there will be that document that talks about those physical activity barriers and how to overcome them. So thank you all for taking your time to be here today. And again, any questions that come up, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. But thank you, and I look forward to presenting to you all next week. Thank you, everyone.